we can be sure it's the right one. I'll get it to her, rather.
Okay, everybody should be starting to, now it's broadcasting to everybody. We're live.
Oh, okay.
So we'll start seeing people popping in just a minute.
Yeah, let me tell her. You should be good now.
Yeah, there's 9 attendees, 10 attendees, 11.
Yeah, I have 17.
Yeah, they're coming in.
My staff are they all in, or is it just us?
There's about 25 people in right now.
They can hear us?
Yes.
Oh. Then
Good morning. Good morning, everybody. We're going to get started in a little bit.
I won't go into the Zoom bloopers that my staff listen from you.
It's recording, so there may be some bloopers.
We don't want to do that. Okay, so I'm going to start by just doing an introduction like we talked about earlier. Okay, good morning, everybody. I hope everybody can listen, can hear us. My name is Reynaldo Garza. I am the CEO for Harlingen Economic Development Corporation. And on behalf of the Harlingen EDC, the Chamber, and the SBA, we're glad to have you. We're going to go ahead and get started. A few housekeeping first. If you haven't already done so, mute your microphones. There's going to be a question and answer after the presentation, and it's going to be via chat. Otherwise, we're going to have a lot of chatter, and we're not going to be able to get through this thing. So we'll teach you a little bit about where your chat feature is. If you're looking at your screen, you may be seeing yourself, or you may be seeing this screen, but you'll be seeing at the very bottom, if you toggle your mouse, you're going to see the chat feature. You click on that, and then there'll be a sidebar that you can start typing into. Your video is on and off where it says yellow. It'll say video, and then your microphone, you can mute it over on the far left. With us, first of all, it's our honor and privilege to welcome U.S. Congressman Filemon Vela. He will be talking a little bit about the federal disaster relief legislation that's going on. Congressman, welcome.
Thank you, Ravel. You ready to go ahead and start?
Yes, sir.
Do you have that green chart that I sent you up for everybody, or?
It's on the screen right now.
Okay, great. So let me start out by thanking everybody for joining us. And you know, I know it's difficult times with the coronavirus pandemic and all that, and we're doing what we can, you know, to help boost the economy in the meantime. Of course, I think we all know how important it is to address the health issues first. But for today, given the fact that this is an SBA focused event, I'll start out by letting you know that as we speak, the House is considering passage of the Kerrs Act, and that's the $2.2 trillion stimulus package that everybody's seen has been, if you've been watching TV, it was negotiated with the Senate over the course of the last 4 or 5 days. We expect this to pass any minute now by voice vote because both Republican and Democratic leadership and virtually every member of Congress supports the package in its current form. The problem is the procedures are set up so that if one member of the 435 members of Congress objects, then it can't happen by voice vote, otherwise, or by agreement, which means that probably the next thing we have to do is get on a plane and get to Washington. So the chart you have in front of you breaks up the $2.2 trillion package, and I'll start from the upper left. And then at the end, I'll focus in on what I know about the small business relief. So first, you have the $532 billion that are dedicated to big business, local government loans, and financial assistance. The largest part of that is $500 billion in loans to big corporations. And that has been structured to have some degree of oversight. The Senate, the House, and the White House will appoint some overseers to make sure, you know, that there's some degree of control over how those loans move out. But there's, and the other thing I think that's important to note about that In addition to the oversight, there's no stock buybacks and things like that that people got concerned about after the 2008 stimulus. As you move over to your right, you see $290 billion in direct payments to families. What that is that mostly every taxpayer in the country who makes below $75,000 will receive a $1,200 stimulus check. That's good for a husband and for couples as well. So it's $1,200 per adult and $500 per children. It phases up, it phases down. You get a little bit less up to $90,000, but if you make $90,000 or more, you won't be entitled to the $1,200. And there's also a nuance there with respect to combining the salaries of couples, where if you make combined over 150,000, you won't be entitled to. But the SBA can kind of address those details as the bill gets implemented. One interesting thing that we caught is that to the extent there is a limit to the $1,200 payments for people making less than $75,000, it may not be true for the children. We didn't see that exception in there. In other words, people who make more than $75,000 with children in the household may still be able to receive the $500 credit for the child, but we're still taking a look at that. The third thing is $290 billion in tax cuts. And what that is that that measure would defer employer payroll and railroad retirement tax through the end of 2020. This delay will provide businesses with about $300 billion of cash flow. Down to the bottom left is $377 billion for small business loans and grants, which I'll get to in just a little bit. Then you see $260 billion in unemployment insurance expansion. And essentially what that is largely made up of $600 in weekly supplemental unemployment insurance benefits to workers, in addition to the standard payment they get from the state, which is on average somewhat less than $300. So if you have a worker who's on unemployment insurance, it's getting $200 from the state. This is an extra $600 in federal dollars that will go to that individual. And then finally, over to the right, you'll see $150 billion state and local stimulus funds. This is $150 billion largely directed so that states and local governments can address the health aspects of the coronavirus pandemic. You should note that that money is separate from some of the dollars in that upper left-hand corner that will go to the states as well. So, and then there's some miscellaneous provisions, $126 billion for hospitals, FEMA, and other things like that that I won't really get into right now. So back to the $377 billion in small business loans and grants. I think that the most important thing to know about that is that small businesses with fewer than 500 employees, and Ray with SBA is on this call as well, and he can correct me if any of this is wrong, because we're still sorting through the language of this bill. It's about 800 pages. But small businesses with less than 500 employees will be able to borrow up to $10 million from SBA. But the thing is that if those dollars are used to continue to pay employees, rent, construction notes, insurance, utilities, things that are directly tied to that business, after 8 weeks, those loans are forgiven. So the money essentially becomes a grant to small business. But that's the gist of the legislation. I'm confident it's going to pass, if not today, by tomorrow. And then, after that, I think it's important for, the nation to focus on making sure we contain the virus. And Congress is, this is set up as a bridge for the next 2 or 3 months. That's about as long as this will last. And we'll have to wait and see where we're at this point. But Congress is also kind of anticipating that we may have to do some more if we don't contain the virus as quickly as we would all like. So anyway, thanks for having me on this webinar today. Everybody on the call should know, we work hand in hand with Ray Vasquez and with Angela Burton from SBA. If there's anything we can do to help, you can call our office. We're teleworking like a lot of other people, But if you call our office at 956-544-8352 or in Washington at 202-225-9901, our staff is there to take calls and we can help get information. You can also go to our website. As soon as this bill passes, a lot of this legislative language that I've talked about, we're summarizing it. It'll be available on our website and our Facebook page. And if you have any problems, it's not there yet. I'm assuming by next Monday or Tuesday we'll get there. And if you have any problems accessing that information, feel free to call us. But thank you all very much.
Thank you, Congressman. Now we're going to switch over to and allow Ray Vasquez with the SBA here in Harlingen to give us a little presentation on really kind of the loan programs that are out there right now. Ray, it's all yours.
Good morning, everybody. Can you guys see the screen? Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Good. Good. Just want to make sure. I don't want to present without it. So my name is Reynaldo Vasquez. I'm an economic development specialist for U.S. Small Business Administration, located here in the Lower Rio Grande Valley District Office, specifically in Harlingen. So we do work with a lot with the EDC and their chambers, and of course the Congressman's office. So thank you guys for putting this together. Today we're going to talk about the disaster loan assistance from the SBA. For small businesses and nonprofits, non-financial assistance from the U.S. SBA and the resource partners, and additional resources that we have that we're working with and we kind of partner up with. So the main thing is really to talk about the economic injury disaster loan. The economic injury disaster loan can give you working capital for your business for up to $2 million. One of the new revisions for the economic injury disaster loan is that you don't have to have any payments for the first 12 months. So let's just say you do get approved by April 1st, 2020, you wouldn't have to pay on that economic injury disaster loan till next year, which April of 2021, which is really good relief. There's also another relief that they've added, which also, if you have an existing SBA disaster loan, that gets deferred to the end of this year, and that's the fiscal or the calendar year, which is up to 2020 of December, which is good to see because I know especially Harlingen, we just got hit by severe storms and flooding not too long ago. So a lot of individuals were taking advantage of the SBA disaster loan programs. So it's good to have that deferment, and that way you can have 2 SBA disaster loans if needed. So the economic injury disaster loans for small businesses and private nonprofits are eligible as well. You can use this for fixed debts, payrolls, accounts payable, and other bills affected by the disaster. Pretty much operational expenses that your business may have, this can qualify for. So it's very interesting how they get the operating expenses. At the end of the day, the ODA office, the Office of Disaster Assistance, looks into what is necessary into your business to operate. So you do have to justify your cash flow needs. They're not going to lend you $100,000 per month if you only operate within $10,000 per month. But they do want to see that, and that's why it's important when you're filling out the information that you put in your cash flow statements, your personal income statements, and your income tax returns. Because with that information, they're able to calculate the cash flow necessary. And that's something I'll touch a little bit later on. And the interest rates for the loan is 3.75 for for-profit businesses that don't have available credit elsewhere, and for nonprofits is 2.75. Just to touch a little bit on the business with credit available elsewhere, for ODA's purposes, or the Office of Disaster Assistance, they look into a liquidity test. They pretty much don't want to see you have millions of dollars stashed in your checking account and you asking for $100,000 for your business. So their liquidity test and their available credit elsewhere is different from the commercial side. So that's pretty much what they're looking into. They don't want to see a lot of cash, a lot of liquidity available within the individual or the business owners. So this is the long-term payment. It's 30 years structured, which really allows individuals to qualify for what we consider ability to repay. Traditionally, you're looking 7 years of working capital that's structured. With economic injury disaster loan, I mean, the advantage of having it structured for 30 years is really above and beyond. So it's a really good benefit. Some additional details. It doesn't cost anything to apply. So I've had a lot of questions, a lot of calls from individuals. And at the end of the day, we do emphasize, you know, at the end of the day, it's probably best if you apply because it doesn't cost you anything. Besides time, of course, because it is a little bit time consuming. But at the end of the day, you can decide to take the loan or not. They do give you up to 6 months to apply to accept it. So you have, if you do get approved by April 1st, you would have 6 months from April 1st to accept the loan or not. So that's something I've had a lot of individuals tell me, you know what, I'm going to apply just because I don't know what's going to happen in 2-3 months from now. So I may not need it now, but maybe in a couple months I may need it. So I definitely do encourage them to apply. So you can ask for, the ODA will look into 6 months of operating expenses for working capital. So you pretty much can't ask for the whole year. Not at the moment. Right now the max that they're doing is 6 months operating expenses. So if you have existing SBA loans, you still will qualify, like I was mentioning. And even if you have 7A 504 loans on the commercial side, you can still qualify. On that side, I would definitely recommend for you guys, if you have SBA guaranteed loans, to talk to your lender, because they do have options of deferments. But every lender is different, so that's why I do definitely recommend you to talk to your lender or your micro lender. One of the things about the economic injury disaster loan is that you can't consolidate the loans. So this has to be specifically for working capital for operational expenses due to the COVID-19. For collateral, you're looking at $25,000 and under. Collateral is not required. So you can actually get an immediate $25,000 payment if approved. Anything after $25,000, SBA will look into collateral for individuals. So that's one of the things you have to take into consideration. Even though an individual doesn't have sufficient collateral, SBA won't deny you for that, but you do have to pledge all available collateral. And right now, from my understanding, they're only looking into business assets, not personal assets, which is even another plus. So who is ineligible for the actual program? So any business where gambling is more than 1/3 of annual revenue, casinos and racetracks where their purpose is being gambling, businesses are prudent with sexual nature, pawn shops where 50% or more of the income derives from interest, religious organizations, investment or lending companies, charitable organizations, as long as they're private nonprofits, those would be okay. All speculative activities. So this is one of the reasons also startup businesses have an issue, because if they just started up, technically they do qualify if the business is registered. They just have to be able to show a justification of cash flow. So they're definitely going to need assistance with cash flow projections, balance sheets, to be able to show the justification on a startup business. So even for startup businesses that just started in January, February, it wasn't the best time to start. You're looking back at it, but it doesn't mean that you still can't apply for it. I would still definitely encourage individuals to apply and try to justify it on the forecast and projections. Also, the agricultural enterprises, they don't qualify because of duplication of the Small Business Act. So that's one of the things that we can talk to, because those are very specific. So that one goes more on case-by-case basis. So criteria for approval, you're looking at credit history. At the end of the day, they're not giving us a specific number what they're looking into credit, but they are looking into credit, and it could be a reason why they deny individuals that they don't consider acceptable for the application. So it's kind of hard on that one to give you a specific number like a 600 or 550, but it definitely goes case by case. I would definitely look into it because it could affect you. Repayment is going to be the main thing. They're just going to want to see ability to repay. They're not going to lend you a $100,000 loan with a $300 payment if you can't do the $300 payment. Of course, you have to think about it. It's 30 years structured, so the payment should be at least workable for the most part. And eligibility, of course, you have to be in a declared disaster, which the whole state of Texas is. So you should be, as long as you're registered within the state of Texas, or really most of the country is already eligible anyways. So how do we apply? So this is where the headaches come in, right? So first thing, the platform, the website works best with Internet Explorer and Microsoft Edge. The portal is open 24/7, and this is a little bit outdated, but before they wanted all COVID-19 disaster loans done through the portal. But due to the issues they've been having of overwhelming demand, now they're allowing to fill out the PDF forms. So you can go to the SBA disaster website, go under loan information and download the forms, and you can upload them. So there is a drop box in there where you can upload your forms. So that's the other option that they're allowing now. And you can also mail them in. So you can download the forms, fill them out, and mail them in to the address in the bottom. It's the U.S. Small Business Administration Processing and Disbursement Center. And that's the Fort Worth address right there. And I did give the PowerPoint presentation to the Harlingen EDC, so if needed, they can definitely send it out to you guys. That's the website to apply. And I've been hearing a lot of issues from the website. We've gone in there, and we can't even get in there on the SBA side through the portal. I know they're working on it as fast as they can, so they're trying to bring it up. But that's why they're giving us the other two options for the moment. And you can always call the SBA Disaster Customer Service Center. They are overwhelmed, so you do have to be patient if you're on the phone. You can email them inquiries, but they are getting a lot of inquiries as well. So you can always contact us here locally to try to assist you as best as we can. Since we don't have access to the actual ODA system, we can't give you all the information, but we are a little bit more up to date with what's going on with the changes. So what do you need to apply? These are the forms, the basic forms that you're going to need to apply when you're applying for the Economic Injury Disaster Loan. Completed IRS forms 4506Ts of the owner, principal owners that own 20% or more, general partners or managing members, and each owner who owns 50% or more of the affiliate business. So that's the IRS forms are basic right now. To fast line the process at the moment, you don't necessarily need to upload your IRS form. At the end of the day, when you do get a case manager, they're probably going to ask for it. So I tell people, if you have a chance and you have, if the system's working right, I would still put in the IRS form. But they will accept your form without the actual IRS form as well. So at least 2 years of completed business tax returns with all schedules, unless the loan is under $500,000, and then in case you do need that 4506. If you haven't been in business for 2 years, submit what you have. So these are the startup businesses that we're talking about. The cash flow statements, the projections are going to be very important and crucial for your business to be able to justify what you need. The important ones are really going to be the personal financial statements and the schedule liabilities. Those are the important ones, and those I highly recommend for individuals to fill out. And in the website, you will see under loan information in English and Spanish. It's not in here, but you also need to fill out a form SBA 5. And for sole proprietorships, they fill out an SBA form 5C. So that's the other one that needs to, and that's the general application of the actual economic injury disaster loan. Another information that they may provide, current year to date profit and loss statements, especially if you haven't filed your tax returns, and SBA Form 1368, which provides the monthly sales figures. But that's more additional information that may be requested later on. I tell individuals, if you have all the information already, I probably would do them anyways. So it's 3 basic steps to apply. Apply online. So the best way, honestly, right now, since the website's having issues, is upload your documents into the Dropbox and get a confirmation number. The confirmation number is very important because that's how they're able to track your application, and that's how you have a actual confirmation that your application was submitted. So the loan processing decision, it goes by credit like we talked about. They do verify it. They are looking into the forecast completed. That's how they're going to be able to determine what's necessary in operating expenses. And then the loan officer contacts you to make recommendations for the next step. It's really a case manager, but that's what they call them. So the decision right now is taking about 4 weeks. So that's what we're looking into time frames at the moment, about 30 days. And then at the end of the day, I mean, you just have to sign and submit your loan documents. The initial disbursements of $25,000 that don't need to be collateralized can be given within 5 days. And then you can adjust as you need to with your case manager. So like I was saying earlier, the most important thing is to just apply and make sure your application is in there. And then we can always modify at the end. Because you can always request for more or request for less or not take everything that's given to you. So important things to know, please complete everything and submit everything required. That's really the main reasons why things are taking a little bit longer. The personal financial statements, those scheduled liabilities, those are very important. That will help you and save you time. And make sure you have copies of everything. Even if you do mail it out, make sure you do keep copies. If more forms available or needed, you can submit the supporting documentations as requested. That's talking about it, and if you don't need it, you can always reduce it. And then if you're denied, you'll be given up to 6 months to provide new information. So there is an appeal process. We can't help you with that. That's actually being done through our headquarters, but we can get your information and send them your information to headquarters. So that's the economic injury disaster loan, which is done through our Office of Disaster Assistance. That's why the terms are really good, because it comes strictly from Department of the Treasury. So right now, the existing SBA loans are the 7A loans, the microloans, the 504s. So those, like I was talking about earlier, the lenders do have those options to give you 6 months of deferments. Unless it's been sold to the market, then it usually goes up to 90 days. I know right now we're working still with lenders to do SBA guaranteed loans, so they can definitely assist you. I know there's things going on, and this may be a short-term answer for a lot of individuals, because every business is different. So a microloan may be a good option for individuals that can't wait the 30 days for processing. So I would definitely reach out to the micro lenders and to your existing lenders to see if there's anything that they can assist you at the moment. So we do have resources available as well. One of the big things that you're looking to conduct is your financial statements. So we do have our resource partners, the SBDCs, the Small Business Development Center at Del Mar College and the UTRGV. We do have our SCORE mentors as well available to help out. The UTRGV Veterans Business Outreach Center, which focuses more with veterans and their spouses. And they can help you with the actual doing your financial statements. So the cash flow statements, balance sheets, all that you may need when you're doing the application, this will come in. They'll give you the technical assistance needed. They won't do them for you, but they'll help you fill them out. So other things to consider, import, exporting, messaging, social media has been very important in these circumstances. Supply chains, a lot of people are really improvising. A lot of businesses are pivoting to different ways. So it's anything that you may need or find different strategies to adjust, this is something our resource partners with their technical expertise can assist you with. So we do have a YouTube channel. So this is something that I do recommend for you guys to keep updated with us. do get our email alerts. That way, everything that's coming up on pending legislation, everything that's the updates, we can send you as soon as we know. Press releases, changes with the programs. So I definitely do recommend to keep up with the SBA. I know JP Morgan Chase has programs specifically for this type of disaster. And of course, the microlenders here active within the RGV are Lift Fund and People Fund. Those individuals are nonprofit organizations that are helping. They help small businesses, and typically a microloan is $500 to $50,000. So when I'm talking about short-term working capital, that may be an answer for you. And then at the moment, we've also opened up bridge loans with existing lenders. So you do have to have a relationship with a lender, an SBA lender that does express programs to be able to get to qualify for the bridge loan. I think I've sent the Harlingen EDC the information on the lenders, but you can always contact us and we can give you that information as well. And there's still more coming. You know, I can't talk about pending legislation, so I know we may have some answers or some questions on that. Since everything is pending, I just can't talk about it. I know the congressman did a pretty good job of explaining the overview of the programs and what's to come. So this is more information on the resource partners. Do contact them. Like I said, technical assistance is very important at this time, and they're still all operational. So do give them a call and do call them, and that's our information in the bottom. My direct extension is 242. My name is Reynaldo Vasquez. You call me Ray. But any questions you guys may have, feel free to let us know. There's certain things we can't talk about, like I said, but for the most part, we can guide you and mentor you in what you're trying to do.
Ray, there are some questions that did come in as you were speaking. We do have a question, and now we do have another Reynaldo Vasquez. He did have some questions. Are there going to be additional funds for the U.S. Department of Commerce Minority Business Development Agency to provide small business consulting? And he goes on, the local minority business development centers located in Brownsville and McAllen used to provide assistance to small business and in the preparation of the loan packaging for the SBA EIDLs and 7A loans. So I'll let you answer that one, then he does have another question.
Yeah, honestly, I know what he's talking about, but since it's pending legislation, I can't talk about it. It's just one of those things that I think it's in the packages, but I can't really talk about the details just because nothing's confirmed yet. But yeah.
And he does go on to ask, is it best to wait to apply until the June or July of 2020? Yeah,
and that goes back to the package as well, and it's hard for me to tell individuals or even comment on that. I would say the minority business development agencies, they do help you out. They're another resource partner. They're like our SBDC for Department of Commerce. So they primarily work with individuals that are exporting products and services. But they're another resource partner out there that can help you out. They're funded through Department of Commerce.
Okay. And we did have a question from Christian Lara. Any web page or place that we can apply for a loan? His company had a loss of 500 workers. We do have the presentation that will include all of that information. Ray, if you have any other, want to add anything else to that?
I mean, for the SBA, it would be that sba.gov/disaster website. The 500 workers or others, I always tell people, look at the small business size standards because every North American industry classification code is different. That's the NICS code that we go by. So I really don't know what the company is. Retailers and wholesalers, they get limited at 100 employees or less. And then service-based industries go by sales. So like a construction company can go up to $35.5 million in sales and still be considered a small business. And manufacturing can go up to 1,500 employees in some manufacturing industries. So it really depends. The 500 employees or less is usually a general rule of thumb. But the best way to find out is the small business size standards in our website, sba.gov, small business size standards.
Okay. We do have, we'll go ahead and pause and come back to the questions in the chat, but there are some questions that some people do want to ask live rather than chat. So I think Radel will go ahead and introduce those questions.
Okay, hi. I think that Misty asked a question. Can you explain again what is considered a small business?
That's what I was talking about, the small business size standard. That's the best way to describe it, really, because every industry is different. General rule of thumb, like I said, it's 500 employees or less, but service industries go by sales, so it depends what type of service industry you are. And then the best way to find out small business size standards, and make sure you know your NICS, which is your North American Industry Classification System code. So that way we can check within that 6-digit number, your industry is there, and then it classifies. Honestly, for the most part, most businesses, especially here in the RGV, will qualify under small business. But I know there's some in the gray area, so that's the best way to really find out.
Okay.
And I can probably share that link with you guys. Or not. Go ahead. You guys can go to the next one.
Okay, there was a question up above. I've been in business for over 9 years, but I have not done my taxes for 2018. Will I still qualify?
So the question is, they haven't done their taxes for 2018 or 19?
It says here 2018.
18, okay. So they can qualify, but they're going to have issues with the justification side of it, because they're going to use income tax returns for justification of operating expenses. So if you're not filing anything, how can you justify that you made $100,000 per se last year, and your operating expenses were $8,000 a month or whatever it may be? So that's where your issue may come in. Technically, you can. So I've been telling people because even for 2019 tax returns has been extended, I've been telling people since there is time for processing, that may be something that you can be working on for the meantime.
Okay. We have another question in the Q&A box. It's from Luis Rodriguez. Our owner is foreigner, and none of the officers here have more than 20% share. Can we still apply for the loan?
So on visas, and those really always come in case-by-case situation, because it depends on the visas that they may have or the ownership. So those really get specific. I know the SBA does allow for certain visas to qualify, but then you also have to look into the extended stay, right? So if they only have permission for 5-10 years, that may change their structure on the loan. So for those, honestly, it's best to apply and then work with the case manager to see the eligibility and the structure of it. But as long as, the main thing, as long as they're registered within the U.S. and they're filing taxes here in the U.S., they can show justification of operating expenses.
Okay. Do we have someone that wants to ask something live? Is it Diane? I believe your mic is working.
Diane?
Somebody else just asked, do the forms need to be typed or handwritten?
You can handwrite them.
Okay, there's another question.
I would recommend more typed just because of eligibility, but just you can handwrite them. I'm getting a little bit of echo. Can you guys hear me still?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Let's see here. I'm going to go back to the chat box. We do have more questions coming in, but I'll go back to where we had left off. Ryan Jansen had asked to clarify what Ray is talking about is what is currently been available and not what may be available once the legislation is passed.
Yes.
Okay.
I can't talk about pending legislation. I'll repeat it, but honestly, it's the best answer I can give you, because I just don't want to talk about anything that's still pending. I did just share the SBA size standards website, or the link, so you guys can definitely use that for the small business size standards. there's a tool in there that you can put in your information, and it will help you out determine if you are a small business.
Okay. Next
We'll
question.
probably, yeah, once we get more direction, we can probably talk about the new legislation, but at the moment we can't.
Okay. Next question. I work for a provider agency. How do I find out the industry code to determine the employee max?
So census.gov, if you look into the NICS section, you'll be able to find your North American Industry Classification System. What kind of home health is it? I may even know it on top of my head. Do you know?
Would they, Mitzi, would you be able to provide that personal assistance? She said,
So is it the home care providers? Is that what it is?
I'm unsure. Yes.
Okay, that one's 62161. I think there's a 0. 621610. That one I just happen to know. I don't know all of them on top of my head.
All right. Regarding the small business loan and grant program talked about by Congressman Vela, will this run through local banks or the SBA?
Yeah, I really don't want to touch that question just because of pending legislation.
Okay. All
Sorry
right.
about that, guys.
That's fine. So using tax returns for 2017 and 2018 are okay. They have not filed their 2019 taxes.
Yes, those would be okay since they have two. They're going to look to 2 to 3 years, but since the extension of 2019 tax returns, then they are looking at 2017, 2018.
Okay, and then we have one other question. I'm wondering if we have been filing all reports, but we have some delinquent 941 taxes on some quarters. Can we still qualify?
I'm thinking the 941s are for IRS, right? I'm not sure what the 941s are, but I would say even if you are delinquent with the IRS, that can make you ineligible for the program. But if you do have a schedule and a payment set up with the IRS, that would qualify you still.
Okay.
So they just want to make sure that you're not delinquent and you do have schedules and payments set up. So you can still owe taxes and still be able to get the capital, but everything has to be structured.
Okay. And another question came in. Question 1 on application, applying for economic injury disaster loan. Is that correct? Yes, that would be what you're applying for. Let's see.
I know some of the questions are going to be maybe a little bit personal or more detailed. So for those, I definitely recommend individuals just give another call directly to the office, and me or one of the staff can definitely help them out.
Yeah. Do you want to go ahead and put the number in the chat so that way everyone gets it? And like Radha had mentioned already, we will be sending out the presentation along with the additional information such as local lenders.
My extension is 242.
Okay, Mitzi has another question. Do I go online to SBA to get the employee max with the NCIS code?
What was that?
What was that? I'm sorry.
She asked, do I go online to SBA to get the employee max with the NCIS code?
The employee max. Yeah, you can. The small business size standards. Once you have your NICS code, you can go in there. You'll be able to. There's a tool in there to help you, and there's also a sheet of NICS codes breaking down through industry. So I'm not. I think I want to say home health is a service, so I think that's going to fall under the sales side. I think they go by sales and revenues, not necessarily employees.
Okay. One of the other things that I wanted to mention to everybody that's on the phone or on the chat on this webinar, Chris Gonzalez, the president with the Harlingen Chamber, is also on, And Chris is going to be providing us with a lot of assistance. Chris, do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. Good morning, Reynaldo. Can you hear me or?
Yes.
Yeah, we're good. Okay. Now, what me and my girls are doing right now, we've been working on this since Monday. We did a press release on Friday. We're trying to help our small businesses as much as we can. We downloaded and we printed all the forms and we're mailing them out to people who need assistance. Some people don't have the ability to upload. Some people have trouble maneuvering the websites. So we're taking applications in, going over them, and we're uploading them for them. If they have questions, we try to walk them through it. And then we've called the Small Business Administration, and my girls have been on the waiting line. We're just trying to do everything we can to help them out. So far, I think we've done about 2 or 3 packets this week, and it's pretty much, we appreciate all the information, but we're out here to help the small businesses with this.
Thank you very much, Chris, for helping out individuals, because we do have those individuals that don't have the capacity. So that's really good to find another resource within the community to help out.
No, we've talked, and my girls have they've done very well with it. We have about 12 or 13 names right now. We're going to do another press release today and Tuesday, just letting people know we're here to help. We're not seeing anybody one-on-one, but we're doing from Zoom to phone calls and online. We're getting them the paperwork and they're getting it back to us, and we're going through it.
And your phone number, Chris?
956-423-5440.
Okay. We can go ahead and type that into the chat so that way everyone has it, and we will share any information on both of our social media pages and online as far as the assistance that you're providing. We do have a couple other questions to go. Irene asked, how will these loans work for self-employed barbers and cosmetologists?
So they can apply. They're self-employed, they're filing taxes. That's what they're going to be able to use as justification for operating expenses. So yeah, 1099 employees, self-employed individuals can apply.
Okay.
The main thing is the filing of taxes, so that's crucial.
All right, we have another question. When we submit all the forms to apply, should we add taxes from 2018 and 2019 with our application?
Yes, you don't need to at the moment, honestly, because they're trying to expedite the process. They understand that they're just overwhelming the system. But at the end of the day, the case manager is more than likely going to need it. So if you have the opportunity to do it, might as well do it right now. I know it's a little bit conflicting info, but they request it, but if you don't necessarily have to add the tax returns at the moment. The main things are those personal financial statements and the liabilities in the SBA Form 5.
All right. And Esteban is asking if you recommend this to be done online or mailed in.
I would do online. From our talk with ODA, it would be a lot faster, more efficient to do everything online.
Okay, and another question. The RGV is in a Secretary of Agriculture disaster declaration. Should small businesses apply for all disaster declarations?
The first thing I would say is to make sure you're eligible because of the agricultural enterprises. Most of them are not eligible with us. There is a niche in there called farm enterprise, so those are. So that's the first thing I would look into, because that's one of the main reasons why it's in there in legislation, because they don't want a duplication of services. So if USDA is helping you out, you wouldn't be able to probably get SBA for the most part because of that. Because if you fall under agriculture enterprise, USDA's assistance will be there.
Okay, and there was another question up at the top. What are the current hours of the SBA district office in Harlingen?
We're here from 8 to 4:30, Monday through Friday. The only thing is that we are limiting as well face-to-face contact. So the best thing to do is really give them a call, and we'll try to set up an appointment and try to help individuals as best as possible.
Okay. we don't have any other questions. We can wait a little bit longer, or what do you all think?
Ray, why don't you give your email address and then people can just email you directly as well.
Sounds good. Yeah, I've been getting a lot of emails from individuals. I've noticed once I give my email out, it doesn't stop. But there's my email. You can always email me, guys. For the most part, I mean, we can help you out with a lot of guidance and mentoring and updates. We do understand it's very frustrating at the moment, but we are working with you to give you the best ways to be able to apply and even give you the updates on how they're streamlining the process of applying.
Well, thank you everybody for being here. Thank you for joining us. We're going to have this webinar available offline later on. We're also going to have the questions available if somebody wants them. You can reach out to Celine or myself. Our emails are on our website, harlingenedc.com. All our contact information is there. Feel free to call us. We're in the office, and if we're not in the office, we're close by. So thank you again, everybody, for being here.
Thank you guys very much.